My name is Jackie Mwanza. I'm an artist and I'm the founder of Ubuntu Museum, which is an African museum. Initially, I had to think, whoa, who's going to come to an African museum? And yeah, so I had to rethink of how am I going to deliver an African museum. So me delivering it on a council estate near where I live in a disused building and specifically targeting people who live here means that I'm delivering a museum in a different way for people who don't have the same kind of means, that go to museums that are expensive, that are in rich areas, that they don't feel that they have access to. I live in Wandsworth and also work in Wandsworth. That over the last 3 years I have been able to run workshops and exhibitions for the Wandsworth Library. And last year I had my first pop-up gallery in Roehampton on the Alton Estate where I live, and that was very well received. We had over 400 local visitors. I like Wandsworth because of, especially my local area is very diverse. I always felt in that space that people of my color don't normally attend creative places, and I think that's probably because we're not represented in them. And I really felt as an African person, African woman, I had stories that I wanted to tell in my own way. And I thought, well, why don't I just sort of set up a museum so that I can do what I want to do and tell the stories that I want to tell. For me, it's about sharing stories that are important to me and are important to my background, my culture as an African woman. I created the nude gallery because I remember when I was 11 years old, we went to a chemist with my mum, and for the first time I saw this box of brown plasters, and that was the first time I realized that actually plasters are made to match our skin tones. Years later, I also realized that actually nude underwear for women is made to match white skin. And when I started this project, I started to recognize that there's so many things, and even remembered as a child, oh, I never had a black door. And in everyday life, as a black person, there are lots of things that are not made with you in mind. This one's the Star Wars door of the actor John Boyega. When they're doing the little action scenes, they got cut a lot, and him and the other black actors would have the makeup artist put a white plaster on them and then put makeup over it. So I'm just trying to show a demo of what the actors, the black actors in Star Wars had to go through. And I'm imagining having to do that all the time. It's just great to open a pack. Yeah, that's a bit more hidden, isn't it? I remember last year I went to a party shop and I saw some party ears. Have you got these in brown? And the shopkeeper kind of looked at me like, no. So I asked him again, do you have them in brown? And he goes, no, but we've got elf ears in brown. So I bought both of them. Ballet shoes are originally made to match white skin tones. Anyway, Ballet Black is a dance company for dancers of color. And they finally collaborated with Freed of London to create 2 skin tones for darker dancers. And before that, black dancers would have to put makeup, cover their shoes in makeup in order to match their skin tone. Because ultimately the dancer is supposed to look like they're not wearing any shoes. Yeah, so just things like that. So you think, as a black dancer, you go to work, you have to spend extra time doing that because it's not made for you. I'm currently working on a project for my local area to do a Saturday class for recycled art inspired by African artists and traditions. So I've done a lot of recycled art myself, and I have quite a bit of experience running workshops also at the V&A. There was a lot of interest from local children to do creative work, and because recycled material is mostly free, so I think that would be a good opportunity to show young people how to use materials that are easily accessible to you and that are not expensive. I started writing this book last year and actually finished it. It's a Halloween Black History story because Halloween and Black History Month, same month. So I do want to start writing a series of books for children and adults, for families basically. My journey getting here has been somewhat unconventional. I studied A-level and GCSE art at school, and then went on to university to do hotel management. I think passion first is important because, I mean, I don't have a degree in art. You can, and these days we're lucky we have the internet to kind of research and find people who are doing stuff differently. But I needed to be creative, so I put on exhibitions by myself, and when I used to do mosaics, I had some commissions, and I did some big projects with schools. And then after that, I did this exhibition in the bicentenary of the abolition of slave trade. Not to feel discouraged, but I think if you know what it is you want to say, I think just persevere. I really wanted to start this museum, and I had my vision of it, and it was going to be in my way. Also think outside the box. Just because things are done a certain way or have been done a certain way for centuries doesn't mean you have to follow the same formula. Do it the way is instinctively right for you. And I think, we all have our own creative way and our own way of doing things. And that makes us unique. So do it in your own unique way, and don't be afraid to do it differently. It means that I have to constantly remind myself that my voice and what I'm saying is okay, without worrying about how people are receiving it all the time. Another thing with plasters, I'll go back to that, is that when I first bought those brown plasters, I had a big spot on my face like I have now. And I put it on my spot. I went to visit my friend. She didn't notice I was actually wearing a plaster. And isn't that great that you can wear an item? Because I never even thought it would make a difference to me. These things may seem minor, but I think they're very important. And they tell the story of race and racism and inequality. There's a wider story. It reflects in the way everything we consume as well. Marilee Blackman. She wrote the novel Noughts and Crosses, and there was an adaptation of Noughts and Crosses on TV. You may have seen it on BBC One. It was a 6-part series about a world where black people are kind of in power and white people are the sort of inferior race. It really expresses how it feels to be in a skin tone that's looked down on, and when it's reversed. Yeah, it's a great reflection, I think. I hope that projects like mine and my gallery could help this diverse education. And this is why with young people you have an opportunity to do things differently. I think diversity benefits everybody. If we know and understand the background of our next door neighbors and can get along with them, isn't that great for you?